Well, yeah, you must be quite excited about the conference that's starting Sunday.
We always explain that a conference of the ANC should be a source of inspiration because we're doing many things there. That's why even in this show we have a few members of the NEC so that if there are in-depth policy questions, we can call upon them to answer them. Lindwe Zulu, Enoch Godongwana, Jackson Mthembu, they cover a whole range of policy areas in the ANC. So it is going to be quite exciting because it is not a conference about electing leadership as it is projected. It is a conference that will spend most of the time grappling with policy questions and challenges facing the country. And the election of leadership is but putting together a team that will execute those policies.
All right, and I would imagine that in the 100th year it takes on a special significance.
Yes, indeed. As you know, we have spent the past 2 years or so since the National General Council in Durban in 2010 in ensuring that we prepare not only our branches but all the sectors of South African society, because the outcomes of this 53rd conference of the ANC will not have an impact on card-carrying members of the ANC alone, but to society as a whole, because we are a leading political force in South Africa that is charged with the responsibility of bringing about a better life for the people of South Africa. So this conference is therefore more about South Africa, as it has more to do with those who are card-carrying members of the ANC.
All right, let's talk a little bit about how the conference is going to play out. You've said that it's more than just electing leaders, that there's policy issues that are going to be discussed. What happens from Sunday typically through the week?
The first day of the conference, as we open the conference after formalities, we run straight into the political report of the president, reporting to the membership of the ANC and the nation about what has happened over the last 5 years. It will immediately be followed by the organizational report, where we account for all the organizational aspects and the work of the National Executive Committee elected in the 52nd National Conference. Those sections will be open to the media and everybody. Then we go into closed sessions, where now we debate those reports, adopt them, and engage each other on all the issues raised in those reports. Then we go to presenting policy documents, key policy documents that will anchor the conference, whether it is the strategy and tactics, it is the organizational renewal, it is the national development plan, it is the infrastructure rollout. All those issues will be presented in the plenary of the conference. Only then will we go into commissions, which will go on until day 3. 2 days dedicated on commissions, focusing on various policy areas, and only then will we go to the end of the conference with elections and all that. But the election of the officials will start on the first day and finish on the second day. Then we move to the election of the NEC, which will continue parallel to the commissions and announced at the end of the conference. Basically, major part of the conference will be spent focusing on policy matters in commissions, giving every delegate an opportunity to talk to the mandate from the branch, because that conference is a conference of branches, of branch delegates. At least 90% of delegates to conference must be from the branches of the ANC. Everybody else is an add-on to the 90% being branch delegates of the ANC.
All right, and then you say it's a majority about policy, but part of that process is the election process. Yesterday there was a press conference, and for some of our viewers who were unable to watch it because they were at work, whatever, perhaps if you could just take us through that process itself, how it happens, how it works. For example, people, can they be nominated for more than one position? And if they do, how does the voting process happen?
Well, I think the starting point is the constitution of the ANC, which was adopted in Polokwane in 2007. Mainly, that is the province that nominates a member, be it a top 6 position or a member of the National Executive Committee. And then those people, through the election commission that the NEC has appointed, which is headed by stalwarts of the organization, including Frini Jinwala, Tata Mlangeni, and others. So when those people acknowledge that they want to stand, then they can be put on the ballot. But also at the conference that starts on Sunday, and another opportunity will be presented, because the Constitution also provides that if we are nominated from the floor, you require 25% of the delegates. So that's how the process unfolds. Whether a person can be nominated for more than one position, the ANC is a very democratic organization. We're a beacon of democracy. Anybody is allowed to stand for whatever position that they think they are capable of.
All right. So that's the election process. Let's go back 5 years then. Let's start.
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
What happens in the provincial nomination is the consolidation of nomination by branches. That's why we had 2 months of branch general meetings where branches nominated. And then those branch nominations were consolidated in the provincial nomination conferences to have a nomination of a province.
Right.
I just wanted to fill.
Okay. A question has come up, and in yesterday's press conference tried to clear things up a little bit. There are some people who've been speaking publicly saying that they've accepted certain nominations. When do those nominations become official? Because I believe there's a vetting process that takes place to make sure that the candidates are fit and proper before they actually get finally put on the ballot slip.
That will happen in the conference itself.
Right.
When the Electoral Commission announces who has been nominated for which position, because at that point in time, they also open the floor for nominating. If you have 2 candidates for a position of a president, they will announce them and then say to the floor, is there any other nomination from the floor? And anybody from the floor can nominate another person. And then that person must get 25% support of the conference plenary. Only at that point in time can we talk of a real firm nomination, because it is at that point that we can then have a ballot paper.
Okay. Earlier in the year, policy has been discussed. You had meetings, conferences. Are those the issues that are going to be on the table now, or could people even propose additional issues for policy?
Well, as the SG has highlighted, that the 53rd conference, or any national conference of the ANC, is the conference of branches. So what we present as the policy committee and the national executive committee is for the delegates of the branches to debate those policies. They're at liberty to come up with new issues into the conference, and it is for the conference to decide which ones are going to be decided upon. But what is key for this conference, as we've highlighted in the strategy and tactics document, is that the past 18 years, we've consolidated the institutions of political democracy. We've done very well there. We've brought back dignity to our people. We have dislodged the system of apartheid, but there are still remnants of it. In particular, we need to focus our attention on the socio-economic transformation of South African society. So the issue of the economy is a centerpiece for this conference, to ensure that we can be able to de-racialize the economy, to ensure that the structure of the South African economy, which is still dominated by whites and males, must be transformed so that it must reflect the population demographics of our South African rainbow nation.
All right, so you guys officially have a few days left in your positions. You may or may not get re-elected. So
there's a nature of democracy.
My question to you is, if we go back to 2007, Polokwane, you made certain promises, resolutions. What is going to be the legacy, do you think, of your leadership?
We're not an outgoing NEC. We're the NEC of the ANC. We'll only be outgoing when we're told to come out of the stage. Then we'll be outgoing at that point in time. Over the last 5 years, there are quite a number of issues that has happened. I think Bungane will add. But most important to us was to talk to the resolution of the 52nd National Conference. One mandated to work very hard and ensure that when the ANC becomes 100 years, we must have 1 million members When the ANC became 100 years, the ANC had 1 million members. Further, 6 months down the line, it has moved to 1.22 million members. That is growth. Basically, as an organization, we have grown. Secondly, we have stabilized structures. When we go to that conference, we'll be accounting for a massive increase in the number of branches in good standing. Grown. Almost all the provinces, out of the 9 provinces, at least 6 of those provinces have grown massively. I know that when we were opening the nomination, there was this outcry about KZN growing massively. Actually, it was not the fastest growing province over the period, because there is the Free State has grown by 47%. The Limpopo has grown by 29%. KZN has grown by 26%. So that growth, staggered growth, demystify this question of KZN having grown massively. Maybe we've tried to create some ghost members. It has grown, and many people don't understand that actually in terms of geographical spread, KZN is having 11 regions of the ANC, is the biggest, followed by the Eastern Cape with 8, and the rest are having 5, 4. So that growth is quite real. That is the first thing. The second thing is that in implementing policies, we've done very well. You know, I was looking into 2 areas. I will leave the rest to Bungan. Just I want to talk about education, which is one area where the ANC has been attacked. One of the things that people have never recorded is that there has been massive improvement in education. One, in terms of access, in terms of university and post-matric education, and in many respects, FET colleges, which for a long time were regarded as inferior. The student population in FET colleges has grown from about 339,000 students to over 600,000. That is growth of students in FET colleges. The growth of university students have grown from over 600,000 to over 900,000, which means that we've improved access to post-matric education. What we should be talking about now, which is an issue that we're questioning, is quality. That's why we have encouraged our department to be part of the 60 benchmark countries. And when people talk about those 60 countries, they say, you're number 60 in mathematics. What they don't tell is that it's 60 countries that have subjected themselves to benchmarking out of 194 countries in the world. The rest have not subjected to benchmarking. We have voluntarily gone there because we want to compare ourselves to the best so that we can improve. That's why we've moved from number 60 when we entered to number 52 now, with maths and science lagging far behind, which means that we must ring fence it and pay attention to it. So we have focused, that's why we split that department, that there must be basic education focusing there and higher education focusing on the higher education and skills. That is what we have achieved. Secondly, on health, I think the improvement on the life expectancy in South Africa from 56 to 60 is quite an improvement. The reduction of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and AIDS, the infant mortality, child mortality, those improvements reflect implementation of a policy of the ANC, and the impact is there to talk to. So we are going to be going to conference and account about those achievements as the African National Congress. So when many people criticize, they will look into the annual national assessment and just talk about the 13% average in grade 9 mathematics. Refuse to do a detailed analysis that in other areas there is massive improvement. In mathematics, we're lagging behind. And some of us understand that under apartheid, Africans were not allowed to do mathematics because the belief was that blacks will not do anything with mathematics, don't give mathematics. Even those schools that insisted were limited to 32 learners a class in mathematics. So the legacy of that bad policy, we are grappling with now.
Okay.
Well, I think I just want to add that if we look at the national election results of 2009, which is the currency of this administration of the ANC, there were 1 million more people who voted for the ANC in 2009 than there were in 2004. If you look at the economy of South Africa, when we came into office in 1995, the economy was not growing at all, but now we can see the robust nature of the South African economy despite the global economic downturn. If you look at the budget, in 1994 we were hardly 100 billion rand per annum, but during presidency of Zuma, we are now talking of almost 1 trillion rand annual budget, which indicates and reflects that there is legacy that we are living in South Africa today. So all these are indicative of the strides that we are making, even on the social side. If you look at social grants, almost 16 million of our indigent in South Africa are recipients of social grants in South Africa to the tune of about 110 billion rand each and every year, ensuring that the poor, especially in rural areas, they can be able to survive. So all these are indicative of the nature of the progress that we are making, despite what you read in the media.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we have read in the papers, because it's been a challenging year for the party, hasn't it? I mean, you know, let's just talk even the nomination process itself at the branches. We've seen intimidation, we've seen parallel meetings even taking place, and sometimes we've seen violence. Where has that behavior come from in the party? It's something that we haven't seen before.
No, you must appreciate that the ANC is a liberation movement. It was run as a tight-knit machinery that had to confront the apartheid regime, which was the most brutal regime in the world at the time. It was implementing a system that was declared an evil against humanity. So that machinery gets unbent, and then we begin to be a massive party that is over 1 million members. When you allow that to happen, you open your windows, fresh air comes in, mosquitoes come with the fresh air. Now, those mosquitoes will be people who join the ANC because they believe that membership of the ANC create an opportunity for personal accumulation and enrichment. They will be here, they will be with us. There will be people who come here because of different objectives altogether. And that's why you begin to see the desperation of when we go to elections, people treat election as a life and death issue. They will take the ANC to court repeatedly. Actually, let me tell you, during the local government elections in the Eastern Cape, we went to court 12 times. 12 times.
But why?
Let me explain. Yeah. The reason for that is that people see the opportunity instead of seeing being in the ANC as a privilege to serve. Now, they see it as a personal opportunity. That's why coming to this conference, people will wonder, a particular lineup, actual elections is old culture of the ANC. That's why in 100 years, in 52 conferences, we have elected 12 presidents and 15 secretaries general, because it is inherent in the ANC to have regular conferences, elect leadership. We have those numbers despite the 30 years between 1960 and 1990 where there were no regular conferences because of the situation. But it is part of the culture of the ANC. But if it is vulgarized and opportunism and materialism take over, it becomes a source of stress. And our view is that it should not be a source of stress. There is a conference, people stand for elections, you get elected, it's fine. You don't get elected, there is no winner or loser.
Okay.
The ANC must be the winner.
You say that, but I mean, you know, when we see images of people, these are people at the grassroots. They're not people who are trying to accumulate wealth. And some of the things they're doing are insulting, actually. They're not just demonstrating.
Well, people can be used because the issue of corruption also plays a role here, where the issue of money, business interests, they play a key role, as the SG is saying, that people are no longer joining the ANC because they want to contribute towards the creation of a better life for the people of South Africa, not myself and my friends. So it is that corruption that corrupts the system within the ANC. And I think there's a great opportunity now in this Mangaung conference to uproot all those rotten elements from within the structures of the organization so that we can have people who take the ANC first, not themselves.
How do you do that?
Consciousness is a function of political engagement and education and involvement. I can tell you that when we came out of Polokwane in 2007, we came out there with an organization that was almost fractured and fragmented. People really fighting. And over the last 5 years, we have built, pulled those forces together into an organization.
But some people will say it's getting worse, though.
No, it's not getting worse. I can tell you. Let me give you an example. After the Polokwane conference, just go back. You can go to the SABC, pull out footages of conferences, whether it is in the Northwest, people throwing bottles at each other, or the youth here in Mangaung doing many other things in that conference, or you go to the Northern Cape, people sat there for 3 days waiting for credentials and all that. And you go and take the footage of all the conferences that have been held in the run-up to this conference. Not one conference where there was physical fight. Contestation, very aggressive, very hard, people very enthusiastic, but stable. Even in these nomination conferences, all of them, I was talking to one journalist in the SABC who was saying, chaos there, violence there, and I asked him, where is this violence? Because we ran 12 nomination conferences. Out of those 12, in the Northwest, we had a problem of serious divisions. One group is sitting in Mafeking, one group sitting in Radebe Sport Time. And we said to them, you are a faction in Radebe Sport, you are a faction in Mafeking. Then we're inviting you to a conference of the ANC in Rustenburg. They all came there. They all came there. And that conference was ran. Because one of the things that you must understand when you run an organization is that you are not running an organization of water. You are running an organization of human beings who think, who can actually undermine processes. Therefore, practical hands-on management doesn't reflect chaos. It reflects leadership that is necessary to pull forces that are pulling different ways together.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but just quickly, but we hear about assassination attempts. You mentioned the Northwest.
Not only assassination attempts, last night, a regional secretary in the Kenneth Kaunda region was visited at home at 2:30 this morning, shot and killed.
Why is this happening?
Because people think that if you are in a particular position, you are an obstacle. They want to remove you. It talks to the same thing that Bungan was talking about. Materialism, eagerness to be in a position so that you can use that position to do many things.
Okay. We're going to take the break now, but I want you to think about this question. Has the ANC leadership lost control if you're finding people having to take issues to court rather than dealing with these issues internally and listening to the national executive? I'll leave that question with you. We'll take a quick break and we'll